My 39th birthday was supposed to be quiet, just a small dinner at home with my wife Amanda and our 3 kids, Logan, Emma, and Jake. I had just lost my father a month ago, and emotionally I wasn't feeling festive. Still, I thought Amanda would understand. I thought she'd be there for me. When the doorbell rang that night, I expected maybe a surprise cake or a friend. What I got instead was Amanda walking in with a man I'd never seen before. Tall, smug, oozing arrogance. She clung to his arm like a trophy as if I wasn't even standing there. "This is Kyle," she said, smiling like she was proud. "He's the real man in my life now. Real stamina, real passion. You should get used to it or get lost." I stood there frozen. The kids stared in confusion. The birthday candles flickered in the silence that followed, casting shadows across the betrayal in front of me. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I looked into her eyes one last time, then walked upstairs, packed a small duffel bag, and left my own house. That night, I disappeared from everyone's life, including my children's. But what Amanda didn't know was this. I had made a DNA test weeks earlier, and the results were sitting in my suitcase, unopened. As I sat alone in a cheap motel 2 towns away, I finally opened the envelope that had been haunting me for weeks. I had ordered the DNA test on a hunch, not out of paranoia, but because of the creeping silence that had grown between Amanda and me over the past year. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the sudden mood swings. It all screamed betrayal, but I never thought it could go this far. I unfolded the papers slowly. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it over the humming air conditioner. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. For Jake. All 3 of them. Not one. Not even close. I couldn't breathe. I clutched the results like they might burn away and take this nightmare with them. These were the children I had raised, rocked to sleep, taught how to ride bikes. I'd held their hands on the first day of school and stayed up all night when they were sick. And none of them were mine. The betrayal wasn't just Amanda's. It was the foundation of my entire life collapsing underneath me. I had given this woman 15 years of my life. I had sacrificed everything, my youth, my dreams, even contact with some of my own family, because she didn't like them. And what did she give me back? Lies, a birthday ambush, and kids that weren't even mine. But here's where things get strange. I started tracing back dates, months of birth, conception windows, and I realized Amanda had been cheating from the very first year of our marriage. She had lied to me since day 1. That realization flipped a switch in my brain. I didn't just want to leave anymore. I wanted to vanish and let her think she had won, because revenge tastes best after silence. So I emptied my savings into a hidden offshore account I had created for emergencies, cut up every card tied to my name, deleted my social media, and bought a one-way ticket to Alaska. No note, no goodbye. Just gone. But what happened over the next 5 years would change everything. Because when I came back, I wasn't the same man. And neither was she. Alaska wasn't kind. But maybe that's what I needed. Something raw, cold, and unforgiving to match the storm inside me. The first year, I slept in a broken-down RV, worked odd jobs at docks, cleaned cabins for cash, and kept my head low. Every day, I replayed Amanda's words, "He's a real man. Get used to it or get lost." That sentence wasn't just a betrayal, it was an execution. But here's what Amanda never knew. I had a pending patent, a specialized software I'd designed during late nights as a hobby. It solved a massive gap in small business data encryption. The very same week I disappeared, I finalized and submitted the application in a false name. 18 months later, I got the call. A major tech firm wanted to buy the rights for $90 million. Yes, $90 million. I negotiated like a ghost. The money went into a trust. I had lawyers create a shell identity for me. Slowly, I rebuilt, not just my wealth, but myself. Gym every morning, business classes online, no more sleeping in a rusted RV. By year 3, I was living on the coast of Maui, running a silent chain of resorts and tech companies, including one very specific investment, a luxury hotel in our old hometown. Why? Because if karma was coming, it needed a front-row seat. Then one day, while reviewing staffing files, a familiar name popped up in an employee incident report. Amanda Weston, my wife, well, ex-wife, fired for showing up late, filed a complaint against a male guest for disrespecting her, and worst of all, address listed shelter, temporary housing for abandoned women with children. Amanda was homeless. The man she left me for, gone. The kids, scattered between state foster programs and teen facilities. The irony? She had no idea that the hotel she was fired from was mine. I felt nothing, no joy, no pity, just a click. I closed the report, but the real shock came the next morning, because a new message appeared in my private inbox from Amanda. Subject, please read. And that's when the final phase of my revenge started to take shape. The subject line haunted me for hours. Please read. I finally clicked it. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. But I have no one else. I made mistakes. Terrible ones. You were always a good man. I didn't see it until everything fell apart. I'm not asking for money. I just need to talk. Please, just talk. For 5 years, I had imagined this moment. But now that it was here, all I felt was emptiness. I stared at the screen for a full 10 minutes before typing. Meet me at the Rosewood Cafe. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Bring no one. Then I called my assistant and gave her strict instructions. Rent out the entire cafe. Hire security. I want cameras at every angle. I wasn't planning a romantic reunion. I was setting the stage for closure and exposure. The next evening, I arrived early, dressed sharply, calm. When Amanda walked in, she looked like a ghost of her former self. Gone were the high heels and flawless makeup. Now she wore a faded coat, cheap flats, and had deep bags under her eyes. She froze when she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. You look good, she said softly. I feel better, I replied coldly. We sat in silence for a while before she finally broke down. He left, said I was too much drama. I lost the house, the car. The kids don't even call me Mom anymore. I just wanted to feel something again. I didn't know how much you did for us. For me. I was blind. I sipped my coffee. Do you know why you're here? I asked. She looked confused. To apologize? No, I said calmly. You're here so I can tell you something face to face. She leaned forward, hopeful. I know, I continued, that none of the 3 children are biologically mine. I did a DNA test after I disappeared. Quietly, thoroughly, and now the court has accepted my petition to revoke all legal responsibilities. Her mouth opened in shock. What? But you raised them. You loved them. Yes, I raised them. I did love them. Until the night you brought your lover to my birthday dinner and mocked me in front of them. Amanda collapsed into sobs, but I wasn't done. Also, I said, pulling out a document, this is a waiver. If you sign it, you agree never to seek contact or financial help again. In exchange, I won't release the hotel footage or the full DNA report to the media. She looked up, her lips trembling. Why are you doing this? Because, I stood, I finally understand something. You didn't just cheat on a husband, you cheated on a future. And now, you get to live with the reality you created, without me. I walked out without looking back. 3 days after the cafe meeting, Amanda's world shattered further, and this time, I wasn't even in the room. A well-known journalist who followed my tech company's rise requested an interview about my early life. She dug into my past, wanting to feature the story of a man who lost everything, vanished, and came back a billionaire. She found court records, lawsuits, the divorce. I didn't tell her to include Amanda's story, but I also didn't stop her. The article dropped with the headline, "From Betrayal to Billions, How a Cheated Husband Quietly Took Everything Back." The story went viral. Amanda's face wasn't shown, but everyone in our hometown knew who it was about. Her former friends stopped returning her calls. She got fired from her low-paying job at the salon. Even the man she'd once called Real Man Stamina tried to sue her for defamation, claiming she ruined his reputation when the story got out. But the worst part, the kids. One by one, they found me. The oldest, Jessica, sent me a message. "I know I'm not biologically yours, but I remember how you taught me to ride a bike, tucked me in when I had nightmares. You were my dad no matter what that test says. I'm sorry for what she did." I met Jessica and her siblings in a quiet park a week later. They cried. I didn't, but I let them hug me. I even smiled. They had been caught in the crossfire of lies, but they were innocent. So I made a choice. I would support them privately, quietly, and fully, but only on my terms. Amanda? She would never be involved again. Months later, I returned to the cafe where it all ended. This time, not for revenge, but for peace. I ordered the same coffee, sat at the same table, looked out the window, and smiled. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's not angry. It's just walking away, richer, wiser, and without looking back. I made DNA test and found all my 3 kids aren't mine. I got revenge, Reddit cheating story. This closing part brings emotional closure, ties directly to the title, and reinforces the lessons of betrayal, self-worth, and ultimate victory. It had been 6 years since I vanished. 6 years since Amanda paraded her lover at my birthday dinner like I was some stranger in my own home. 6 years since she said those words that would haunt even the coldest man alive. "He's the real man, stamina and all. Get used to it, or get lost." I got lost, all right. Lost in the silence, lost in my revenge, lost in building something so powerful. Even her shadow couldn't touch it. But now, I was found. Amanda, on the other hand, was a ghost of who she used to be. Her beauty faded, her name ruined, her lies exposed. And worst of all, she had no control left over the kids she'd once used to keep me chained. Jessica, Brandon, and Ava. They came around on their own. They never asked for money. They didn't even ask for forgiveness. They asked for truth, for connection, for someone who had once been their safe place. I gave it to them, not as a father, but as a man who still had love to give. Just no lies left to tolerate. One rainy afternoon, I stood at the gate of my new mansion on the coast, watching Amanda from the security cameras as she stood out there, soaked, crying, screaming my name. "Please, just talk to me. I made a mistake." But I didn't move. I didn't open the gate, because that was the difference between her and me. She thought love was a leash. I knew love was a choice, and I had already made mine. As the rain washed her voice away, I turned back into the warmth of my home, built not on lies, but on strength. I didn't need revenge anymore, because I had already won. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from the ones you loved the most. But true strength isn't in lashing out. It's in walking away, building yourself back up, and letting your success speak louder than your pain. When trust is shattered, you have two choices: become bitter or become better. He chose better. He didn't chase revenge with rage. He planned, he healed, and he let karma do the rest. In the end, dignity, silence, and self-worth became his greatest weapons, and those who once mocked him were left in the dust of their own regret.